Hello everyone, welcome to Broadview. My name is Joseph. So let's get into today's topic. Let's start off by asking, how did humans become the dominant form of life on Earth? We don't have large elephant bodies, nor do we have sharp eagle vision. I mean, think about it, we don't even have strong bites like crocodiles, nor do we have the speed of cheetahs. We can't fly on our own, and basic survival features are missing as well. We aren't equipped with fur to protect and warm us during the cold months. Even the sun can harm us. Our skin can be damaged by UV radiation. By no means are we the most powerful creature on the earth, so how did we come to dominate it? Some might say it's because we've learned to use tools. But in nature, there are animals that also use tools, just like we do. When a chimpanzee wants to eat ants, it uses a twig to poke into the ant's nest. After the ants climb up the twig, the chimpanzee feasts on the ant lollipop. Monkeys use stones to break open coconuts. A wide range of animals have been observed using tools. Some may even say that we have language. But animals also exchange information, such as through movements, sounds, or smells. So none of these answers unlock the key to humans' apparent superiority on the planet. Today, let's discuss the secret to humanity's domination of the planet and shed light on our brain's superpowers. Mental time travel. According to anthropologists, mental time travel led to the invention of agriculture. We take it for granted that if seeds were sown in the spring, we would have crops to get through winter. Let's imagine if we were in the pre-agricultural times. Humans scavenged and hunted for food just like the other animals on this planet. How did the pioneers of farming come up with the idea? Your mind would need to first travel back and forth in time. Now, you would need to travel to the past and recall having starved in the previous winter. Then you had to travel to the future to brainstorm an upcoming scenario. That is, if you don't do something in the spring, the consequences in winter would be an obvious repeat. Your mind must conceive the entire timeline of events. By comparing the various winters and springs in the past, you found the solution. You remembered that one spring you accidentally threw some seeds on the soil. Surprisingly, in the fall, food was grown from these seeds. In winter, you had food to eat. So you'd probably ask yourself, is there a connection between throwing seeds in the soil in the spring and harvesting food in the fall? During this process, your brain worked like a time machine. The pioneers of farming came to this conclusion. If they wanted to avoid starvation in the winter, they would have to sow seeds in the spring. Thus came the birth of agriculture. After spending the winter with food to eat, our brains would then time travel to a more distant future. We would foresee our children, grandchildren, and even future generations' need to sow seeds in the spring to survive their upcoming winters. To pass on this experience, we would carve this memory into a painting or write a book to pass it on from generation to generation. Language was invented to meet this need. Our brain is able to think beyond individual needs and traverse back and forth in the timeline of the collective, from the ancestors to the future generations. We would eventually learn to express intangible meanings and concepts using language. Money is a perfect example of an intangible concept. Initially, shells or stones found in nature were used as money. The people assigned them values and used them to exchange for goods. Then the economy was formed and civilization emerged. Scientists proudly called the capability to mentally time travel a superpower. If we didn't have this capability, then the wisdom of our ancestors would be lost. The invention of agriculture would vanish after its discoverer passed away. The descendants would have to reinvent agriculture again and again. But if a future generation failed to reinvent the process, then humanity might face extinction. You may recall that animals like squirrels and brown bears have the habit of storing food in the winter, right? But their brains are much less capable of traveling back and forth on a timeline. Their brains could only travel across short periods of time. They wouldn't learn experiences from their ancestors. They would also never think about unforeseeable future generations. That's why mental time travel is one of the most significant differences between humans and animals, and it's also our superpower. Our brain's time-traveling ability allows us to give up instant gratification in exchange for long-term values. It also allows us to cooperate for a common goal. Just like the famous marshmallow experiment that we talked about in the Mouse Utopia video, some children can hold back from eating marshmallows in exchange for the promise of better rewards in 15 minutes. After tracking these children, it was found that many of them grew up to be the elite in society. The ability to time travel determines the scope that we can manage our lives. A squirrel's time travel ability allows it to manage its small den and live through a winter. Humans' time travel ability is much more powerful, so he can manage the entire planet. For a more powerful being than humans, with stronger time travel capabilities, would that being be able to manage an expanse of the universe, or even the entire universe? Would this be what we call a god who can understand the past and the present, as well as predict the future? It's understood in the East that for Buddhas or gods, they don't just see a lifetime of the person, but rather the reincarnations through the person's past, present, and future lives. They even know the past and future of the universe. Only such beings could have the ability to manage the whole universe. Dare I say it, if we look at human beings from a god's perspective, would it be like human beings looking at animals? Just a kind of lower dimension creature who only cared about the immediate needs, while living in the present moment. So how do we turn on our own time travel superpowers? First of all, good concentration is crucial. Scientists have found that through paying close attention, we can stimulate the superpower of the human brain to distort the time field. Let's start with an interesting experiment. Please pay attention to the picture of this good-looking cat. Now, begin to blink. Okay, now did you just see a boar? Which image appeared longer, the boar or the cat? Make a mental note of your answer. This is the famous cat experiment. The cat and the boar actually appeared for the same amount of time, but in this experiment, people generally believe that the boar had appeared for longer. Scientists call this phenomenon the oddball effect. When the human brain is in a state of focus, it creates a subjective feeling, as if time had slowed down, although there is no objective impact on time. Now, which one did you take note of? Which did you pick to be longer? You may have experienced this before. During brief, dangerous events such as car accidents, many people report that things slow right down as if in slow motion. This effect is called time subjective expansion, or TSE. If used or cultivated well, it could lead to supernormal abilities. For example, top baseball players revealed that in the moment of hitting the ball, they felt as if the ball suddenly slowed down as it approached. There are also magicians who toss and catch hats. His hand is not moving fast, but he can always catch the falling hats. Through continued training, it seems that the brain can develop the ability to slow down time. Speaking of focus, since the brain has the ability to slow time down, then it can also speed time up. This is why people often feel that time is passing increasingly faster as they get older. The decreased attention span played a role in speeding time up. In the world of infants and toddlers, not many distractions exist. Their brains need to process relatively little information. Their attention is not easily distracted. So as we grow older, we make friends, we work with colleagues, we form a family with a partner, and we have children. Our attention slowly gets distracted as we engage in learning, work, surfing the internet, doing household chores. We are constantly taking in all kinds of fragmented information. This leads to our perception of time becoming faster. This explains why when people browse their phones for an hour, it only felt like 10 minutes. So when it seems that you have wasted your life on your phone, you have in effect sped up and wasted time. As humans enter the age of information explosion, our perceptions of time accelerates. Then we realize a horrifying truth. The overwhelming amount of information is sealing our brain's superpower to travel through time and space. For example, the incessant temptation to view information is making people increasingly short-sighted. People live from paycheck to paycheck, and a growing trend is to refuse to have children. Instead, they pursue timely pleasures. For example, being obsessed with the pleasure of overeating at the expense of long-term health. With the endless pursuit of desires, the metaverse was born, and humans seem to have gained the utopia of their dreams. You only need to put on a pair of VR glasses to enter the virtual world. The world is generated entirely by computer simulation at any time and anywhere. Inside the virtual reality, you can play, shop, make friends, and work. You can be who you want to be and do what you want to do, while in reality you can't. Your various desires would be satisfied to the fullest extent. However, you would find that unknowingly, humans have given up the ability to read. The memories written in books by our ancestors have become sealed knowledge. While the metaverse may instantly satisfy our human desires, it also traps us inside the eternal present. They gradually lose the ability to travel through time. In the near future, perhaps the human civilization will move completely into the virtual metaverse. As soon as the electric plug is pulled, our civilization, which has been painstakingly passed down for thousands of years, instantly gets reset. Should human beings be desperately pursuing endless developments in technology? People may find that it soon becomes the Wild West in the metaverse, as it soon becomes apparent that in the attempt to create a digital existence, people lose the ability to control and restrain their own thoughts. Could it even lead to the collapse of civilization as we know it? Let's revisit the Atlantis civilization that we've talked about before. Maybe it also disappeared for this reason. Some people now say that mankind is facing two distinctively different paths for civilization. One in the real world where you can understand and overcome the weaknesses of human nature, and the other in the virtual world where it takes advantage of these weaknesses to make you feel carefree in a self-centered way. So which civilization will be more sustainable in the long run? This is reminiscent of the prophecy stone of the indigenous Hopi tribe. It predicted that human beings could advance along two routes. One is the path of technology, which is the path that we are now taking. The other is the path of tradition, where humans live in harmony with nature and God. On the Hopi prophecy stone, it predicted that the path of technology leads towards a dead end, while the traditional path leads to prosperity. It also suggests that the path towards God and towards purification is what will ultimately save humanity. Well, that's it for today's story. What are your thoughts on this topic? Feel free to leave your comments below, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.